Nigeria Info FM. Thank you for joining me today. The very 6th day in the month of March 2023. Yes, the year and the month has really kick-started, and I hope you're having a good time today. It's a Wednesday, of course, and midweek, a lot of business activities going down right now. It's been on since early morning. It's Wednesday in Port Harcourt. That's usually the drill, isn't it? I hope you're making money today. I hope the money in your pocket is growing regardless of the situation. My name is Chioma Ezenwafo, and I'm your host on Talking Figures. And today we're going to look at something that's been in the news for a while. And yesterday, it took a different turn. I'm talking about the Binance situation. Yes, if you've been following the news, you probably must have heard about Binance and what it is that they've been accused of. And then yesterday, they decided they were going to leave the Nigerian market. Basically, all services related to Nigerian Naira, they have come out their hand. Let's put it that way. And so, wondering what Binance is. Binance is a cryptocurrency exchange. We're having a guest shortly to explain in details all of what you need to know about it. But just stay with me. Binance is a cryptocurrency exchange platform, and they've had to go. Okay, they've had to leave the Forex market in Nigeria for so many reasons. They're being accused of some people say they do price fixing. The government basically just thinks that there's something. Some even said the terrorism financing at some point as well, money laundering, tax evasion, all kinds of accusations there for that company. And with their exit, what's been left? What's left to be done when it comes to our Forex crisis? Of course, you know there's been a crisis in the foreign exchange market in Nigeria for a while now, and so if they are the new people they are pointing fingers at, where does that leave us with the Forex crisis that we have right now? Because Nigeria is one of the largest peer-to-peer crypto markets in the world, and we make a lot of money, and there's lots of money that just circulates within the crypto market. And so if a giant platform like Binance decides to pull out, how does that affect everyone? I mean, all of us in all of the markets that we belong to, whether you are in the crypto market, Forex market, food market, whatever market, how does that affect everything? More importantly, how does that improve the cost of living? Okay, because the special advisor to the president on information and strategy, that's Bayo Onanuga, he said Binance will destroy Nigeria's economy if the federal government does not clamp down on the company. So the clampdown has happened. Will it improve, or will it still be destroyed anyways? Let's find out in a bit. I have a guest with me. He's a digital economy researcher and a former tech journalist who started here in Port Harcourt actually, but now he's in Rwanda. He lives in Rwanda, where he does all his digital economy escapades and monitoring markets and all of that. And he understands better what I am talking about, and he's going to help break it down and help it make sense to you as a business person, and exactly how you can have and use that information in your business. Abraham Augustine is his name. Thank you for joining me. Abraham, can you hear me?
Yes, absolutely, I can hear you.
Okay, you need to speak up a little bit. How is Rwanda today?
It's always very quiet.
Much better.
It's always very quiet. It's a quiet town, and of course much cooler than Nigeria, I believe.
And you miss Port Harcourt anyways, don't you? You miss Port Harcourt, don't you? Thank you for being honest. Anyways, join me on Market Watch. Let's go look at the latest insights in the world of business, all the big stories as much as we can, and then we get back to talk about Binance issue, shall we?
Of course.
All right, so let's start with the first story here, talking about food smuggling. That's just the latest one. I don't know if you've been following, how much you've been following Nigerian news, but I need you to just help us understand, because the federal government has intensified efforts to combat food inflation and the cost of living crisis, and they've kind of intercepted about 141 trucks in the past week that food trucks that they've been trying to smuggle into neighboring countries, they've caught lots of these trucks, about 141 of them. I think the EFCC caught about 120, Customs caught 21. That's just something that has happened in the past 2 weeks, Abraham. Food smuggling, that's where we are now. Food insecurity, conversations has been on. What do you make of it?
It's an interesting directional movement, because usually when you hear food smuggling in the Nigerian context, it's food being smuggled into Nigeria,
not out.
Not food smuggled out of Nigeria, Look, it doesn't really change anything. The question to ask is, why are people smuggling food outside of Nigeria? I believe the trucks that were caught were trying to smuggle food. I think this was in northern Nigeria. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes,
I think this was
correct.
in northern Nigeria, and they were smuggling it maybe to Niger and places like that, which is, I don't know if you call that smuggling. There's been that trade has always happened, and recently we know that the ECOWAS had sanctioned the Republic of Niger after the coup attempt, and I think those sanctions are being on their way out now. We've restored power supply to Niger Republic, so it's not a surprising thing to hear that food is being smuggled to Niger.
But then when you look at the rising inflation here in Nigeria, do you think all of these stoppings that's happened in the past 2 weeks could perhaps lower the food prices here in Nigeria? Because it's been crazy.
I don't think so. Look, markets, the basic concept of markets, right, is that there is supply, there is demand, and then there is something that's an indicator. There's something that sits in between supply and demand, and it's price. One of the things, rather, and it's price, right? So if the prices of food in, let's say, northern Nigeria are rising, they're super, super high, and people are still smuggling food outside of Nigeria, if it's that much of an issue, because in my head, I'm not sure. 140 trucks is huge, but I'm not sure that it's very, very significant if you look at like the consumption that happens. But let's assume, for the sake of conversation, that this is very, very significant, right? And you're smuggling 140 trucks of food when the price of food is high in Nigeria. What it tells me, just looking at it from an abstract point of view, is that the price of food is even higher where the smugglers are taking that food to. So they're responding to
Demands?
price and the price. Yeah, the demand. Yes, there is demand in Nigeria, but there's also demand where it's being smuggled, quote unquote, to. But maybe the difference is that even though we consider it high in Nigeria, it's probably higher there. So the people who are demanding there are willing to pay even more to get it. So as a result, the smugglers just have an incentive, and they're responding to that incentive. That's one way of looking at it, obviously. The other way of looking at it is that, is it going to fix our problems? 140 trucks, is that what Nigeria are going to fix? The food supply. We know where the food supply problem in Nigeria is coming from, at least part of where it's coming from, and it's coming from insecurity. A few days ago, the IMF, which has just concluded a working visit to Nigeria yesterday, I think, they put out a statement asking Nigeria to address
food insecurity. Yes, I'm actually going to talk about that very soon. But let's go to the second story now, where the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria is saying that 767 manufacturers had to shut down operations last year. What do you make of that?
Again, it goes back to the same thing, you see. And that's expected. I mean, you have the likes of Nestle, you have the likes of the big FMCG manufacturers and players leaving the Nigerian market. If you have those guys who are part of global conglomerates leaving the country, then it's natural to expect that the smaller people, the smaller players, are also having a hard time um, we are also having a hard time. And it comes back to that thing about um, addressing the root of the problem.
Hmm.
Yes, now we know that over 700 manufacturers, local manufacturers, shut down. That's not what you want to hear if you're an import, if you're a country that depends a lot on import.
Hmm.
Basically, you have a negative balance of payments. You
Hmm.
don't want to hear that your manufacturers are not manufacturing. If
Yes.
you have a negative balance of payments and you have trouble sourcing for Forex, right? You don't want to hear that because it basically means that your problems are going to get worse. And, you know, stopping smuggling, which is a good thing, by the way, it's not a bad thing, it's a crime. We should absolutely stop it. We've also seen other news coverage,
Hmm.
around the whole smuggling issue that I don't
Hmm.
want to get into now. But
Yes.
we've seen, coverage, from other investigative
But
journalists. It's a
but but
fine thing. We
then
need to stop
Abraham,
that.
I cannot help but
Yes.
think about the job losses when I think about manufacturing companies shutting down. I just think of hundreds of jobs because we're looking at these companies, 700 of them in 1 year. So lots of people must have lost their jobs, and then there's also this drop in revenue when it comes to wherever those companies were based. It means that more and more governments and perhaps not going to get enough. Our numbers really adding up, especially when you look at the budgets. They are obviously more than what we had last year. So where is the money for implementation of these budgets and all of what we've been throwing about? Where are we going to get the money to implement all of it? I just had all of that in my head. I just needed to bring it out.
You know, the Nigerian Customs Service has been posting on Twitter, well, X, formerly Twitter. They've been posting about revenue records. So they've actually been generating money, and they've wanted Nigerians to know that they've been making a lot. They've been making a lot of money. I'm just saying that tongue in cheek, but your point absolutely stands, right? When companies go, jobs are lost, income is lost, economies become devastated. We're still reeling. Port Harcourt used to be a very, very strong economic hub, right? I mean, we literally have transformed the industrial layout because of the economic activities that used to happen in Port Harcourt, the industrial activities rather that used to happen in Port Harcourt. Transamadi is a shadow of itself, right? But when you have this happening on a much larger scale, given that it's distributed across the country, and you're having companies leave, small manufacturers leave, that's terrible, right? Because we're supposed to be a country where we're supposed to be progressing, and this is not just a Nigerian thing, to be honest. We're supposed to be progressing from a continent of small localized manufacturers, to more established, larger conglomerates. We're not having that now, right? And it's a problem that we need to address and fix.
All right, now let's look at the final story on this segment of Market Watch. Looking at what you mentioned earlier, the IMF, the International Monetary Fund, their visit to Nigeria and what they said we must do, which is prioritize addressing food insecurity. Where do we begin, in your own words? Where do you think we should begin as a nation? Very quickly now.
Yeah, you obviously want to prioritize food security. You want to make sure that your people, your country is not hungry, right? Because it's it's a basic part of being a civilized society,
I agree with you,
right?
Abraham.
It's one
Abraham,
of
let's go
those.
on a break. And when we come back, because that's the end of Market Watch, when we come back, we'll look at the Binance and more importantly, how it affects everything, all the markets that we have in this nation. More importantly, the Forex market, which has led to the rising cost of
Okay,
living. So we'll go on this break now. And
absolutely.
of course, if you're listening, you get to join the conversation. The phone lines will be opened at some point. So stay tuned. If you have messages, yes, you can drop them on WhatsApp 0809 030 6416. Stay tuned. It's Talking Figures.
Nigeria Info. We'll be right back.
FM. My name is Choma Izenwafo, and I have a guest with me. In the first segment, we looked at Market Watch and all of the big stories that's been coming out in the world of business, and trying to help make it make sense, really. And my guest is still here with me. He's joining me from Rwanda. He's a Port Harcourt boy. Let me mention, he's a Port Harcourt boy, and he's left Nigeria. And he used to be a tech journalist, and now he's moved on to Rwanda, where he's doing digital economy research and just basically watching markets across Africa and Europe. Right? Abraham Augustine is joining me in the studio. Thank you so much for being here again. Abraham?
It's an absolute pleasure to be with you.
Okay. What time of the day is it there right now?
I'm just 1 hour ahead of you guys.
1 hour ahead. Okay. Anyways, now let's look at Binance issues. I mean, we all followed. At some point, executive staff of the companies were put in, I think they were detained. So much going on. And is the drama over? Do you think it's over?
Well, at this point, it looks... I don't have any news yet. I don't think we've seen any news about the detained Binance executives, whether they've been released. But at this point, from assuming they've been released, which is a separate matter, detaining people that float, that's a different matter. I assume the diplomatic mission of those people, so their embassies will at some point be involved if they've not already been involved. But that said, that's not my remit. I can't really comment on that. But I think from a Binance perspective, Binance they've suspended operations in Nigeria. They don't have any business to do with Nigeria anymore. Has that solved the Nigeria's Forex issues? Clearly not.
How so? Because that was my question. How so?
It hasn't solved Nigeria's Forex issues because I'm looking at $1 to the naira, and it's 1,564. That's not a dramatic drop from just a few days ago. So just a few days ago when the guys were arrested, right? We still have a Forex liquidity crisis, because that's really what this is about. And you can make a case. And I mean, I told you this before. You can make a case about Binance, having some sort of impact, not directly, not because Binance is taking out dollars from Nigerian banks. You can't do that. When the former CBN governor was still in office, he had stopped that capacity, so you couldn't move money, from your Nigerian bank account directly
to the platform, to the Binance platform.
Exactly. You couldn't do that since years ago. So there is no direct interaction with Binance from Binance and your Nigerian bank. That's your Nigerian naira, not to talk about dollars.
So then what has Binance got to do with Nigeria's economy? How come they were so blamed by all of our Forex issues, especially by the presidency?
They're a platform, and basically one of the functions that Binance has served is for price discovery, which basically means you want to know how much crypto trades, and you call your Aboki guy who is your friend. You call him and you say, I need to buy $. How much are you selling? And he tells you, okay, I'm selling at XYZ price. I'm selling at 1,000 naira to $1. And then you look around who is into crypto and you ask him what's the price, and maybe for him his price is 1,100. At some point the guy on the street, the operator on the street, is going to find out that on Binance the price is 1,100, because these people, they also talk among themselves, and some of them are active in crypto, in the crypto market as well.
Okay.
So maybe he adjusts his price and says, okay, if they are taking 1,100 on Binance, why shouldn't I? But again, they are fundamentally different businesses. One guy is selling a digital representation of $1 that is not even sitting inside Nigeria. That dollar is being controlled by what you can describe as a central bank of crypto, which is Theta. Theta is an organization. It's incorporated in one of the Caribbean islands. So it's incorporated super close to North America, not in the United States. Executives are all white people, and they operate as sort of a central bank for a particular crypto stable coin, a particular crypto coin which is a digital representation of a dollar. It's not a physical dollar. It's not a dollar in any Nigerian bank account. It's a dollar in a bank that's controlled by people. You buy physical dollars and they sell it to these guys, and these guys then give them a digital representation of that dollar. And then one guy on the street is actually selling physical dollars. He's buying physical dollars. He's selling. He interacts with the Nigerian banking system. The other guy on Binance doesn't necessarily interact with the Nigerian banking system, but their information flows between parties. So from that perspective, one can make an argument, that the trading activity on Binance may have influenced, pricing decisions or how the Naira was priced. But even that excuse or explanation doesn't fully explain the Naira slide, because, and the reason it doesn't explain the Naira slide is if the Binance doesn't have, again, Binance is not the one doing the trading. It's actually two independent people doing their trading.
Peer-to-peer, like it's called, right?
Exactly.
Peer-to-peer.
It wasn't peer-to-peer before. It was actually something you did through Binance until the previous CBN governor blamed Binance, as he blamed a lot of different things. We all know he cut down trees in Abuja. So at the point, we were even feeling that trees were also part of our Forex woes. So we blamed a lot of different things. But the key problem there is we simply do not have enough dollars to match the demand. There is dollars in the CBN's account, but that money, that Forex in the CBN account, JP Morgan released a report that was leaked to the press last year, and the report basically said, yes, Nigeria has X amount of dollars in its reserves, but the truth is those dollars are actually not owned by Nigeria in the future. That is, those dollars have been contractually obligated to be sold, or to go to other parties. So yes, we actually have the money now, but we can't touch the money because it's money that we committed for certain, because of, whether the federal government was borrowing money, or something. Technical terms, they call them forward swaps, which is basically you've agreed to do something in the future, so you can't really, yes, you have it, but it's not your own because it belongs to someone in the future.
Okay.
And that report kind of set off a huge chain reaction. People were like, oh, we thought we were okay. We didn't know we were underwater. So until we fix that problem of having enough US dollars, which the government, by the way, is trying to do, but I think there is less emphasis on growing the supply. This is my personal opinion, which I kind of understand. You have very, very limited room to grow the supply of dollars, So, but now you see the government focusing on things like, Binance, send EFCC to arrest people on the streets, which are maybe good things to do, but it doesn't really address the problem. The problem is you don't have dollars. You have the dollars.
But then, Abraham, how will this Binance exit affect the Forex crisis we have right now, which has caused this high cost of living? How will it affect this Forex crisis, as we see it?
Well, to be honest, right now it doesn't have any effect. We know now for sure that there is no effect. We know now that there is very limited effect.
But a lot of energy was thrown into getting them out. I mean, the presidential aide, Bayo Onanuga, repeatedly said that they needed these people out because they were going to destroy the economy. So I'm asking you now, as the watcher of the economy in Africa and even Europe, can Binance destroy the Nigerian economy? Could they have?
It conceivably could have had a very strong negative impact.
How so?
Well, it could have. So when you have a non-regulated financial services provider, a lot of things can go wrong.
Okay.
And Binance is essentially not regulated by any, regulatory body. At least regulated in the would consider a bank to be regulated, right? Maybe they had some operational. I'm not sure. I'm not holding brief for Binance. I have no insight into their operational how they were structured, but I don't think that Binance is something that the CBN necessarily had oversight, previously. So it's conceivable that yes, there are things that could have happened through Binance that would be really damaging to the economy. That's a possibility. That's not something that we know has happened. That's not something that the exit of Binance is showing that has happened. Because now we have the news, and you don't have anything reacting. You don't have any, reacting to the prices are not reflecting. Okay, Binance. If anything, and this is my opinion, Binance was probably an exit valve for the pressure that was building in Nigeria's Forex market.
Okay.
Because if I go to a Burundi change up, if I go to my bank and I say, I need $1,000 to travel, and my bank, and they usually do the, okay, I need $1,000, and they will likely tell you, well, we don't have $1,000 in cash. You have to join a queue if you're even trying to pay your child's school fees or get Forex so that you can pay your importing stuff, And so you, after going to your bank and your bank doesn't have the amount of Forex that you need, maybe the next thing you do, you go to the street, you look for a Burundi change operator, and maybe they have some, but they don't have everything you need. But you need to import this stuff, right? You need to import. And by the way, Business Day, I think 2 months ago, I published a report that if you compare Nigeria to other African economies on a per capita basis, Nigeria actually imports less, for its population than some African economies like Kenya, Egypt, and a few other economies. So we usually talk about how Nigeria is very, very import dependent, which is true, but less dependent on a per capita basis relative to some other African economies. You can think of that word, But back to the original story, which is that, look, Binance I need to import stuff. I can't get it from my bank, I can get it from the exchange operator. And there's some guy over there who says, well, if you talk to suppliers and they're willing a digital dollar, I can sell a digital dollar to you. So I go to my suppliers in China or in Vietnam or wherever I'm importing from, Turkey, and these are countries where, to a large extent, crypto is a part of how business at some level operates. So I go to those guys and I tell them, hey, look, I want to pay you for what I'm importing, but I don't have the means to move dollars using the regular financial services framework. Will you take a digital dollar? Will you take USDT? And maybe my supplier says, yes, I'll take USDT. So I go to the guy who tells me, well, I have USDT to sell to you. And even though it's a very risky process, if I don't do this trade, then I don't have a business. So I trust this guy blindly at this point because there's no intermediator. There's nobody to say, there's no bank you hold when your money goes missing. So I trust this guy, and I send him the Naira equivalent, depending on the price he quotes to me on Binance. So we met on Binance. I sent, and it's not just Binance, actually. There are a lot of other platforms. So I'm not sure if the CBN is maybe going to go after all these other platforms.
I was going to come to that. I was going to ask you. I actually have someone here in the studio with me. Where I hope he gets in here before we end the show. I wanted to ask what the options are for crypto, for the people in the crypto market who, this is a legit business. It's not illegal. Just recently we lifted the ban on the use of crypto. Yeah, regulations are yet to be sorted out, but people are actively in the crypto market in Nigeria. What are their options if Binance, a big platform like Binance, is leaving? He's joining Emmanuel. He's one of those who do crypto, and I wanted to ask him, what are the options? Abraham, of course, you're going to answer this, of course, very soon. But let's hear from him now. How did you receive the news of a company like Binance leaving Nigeria?
Well,
Go on.
okay, so yeah, it's been very, I don't know, I would say frustrating, right? Because now you have to find a way to look for other options. If you have to go over the NIN and BVN verification process, because these platforms also make sure that we don't have fraud, right, on the platforms. I think before the the guest spoke, one of the major reasons why I think the Nigerian government want to cramp down on the Binance is that they are probably tax evasion. All right, they don't have a way to regulate the FX rates on the platform. So okay, you're now taking CBN's role. All right, so I think that's like basically what the problem is. But for me as a trader, it's going to affect me because now I have to find a way to either find other reliable platforms or find a way to get another P2P
platform where
Yes,
you can actually continue to do your business. But then, do you think that was a good move for the government? Should you shut down what you don't understand or what you haven't figured out yet?
I really don't think it's a good move. First of all, one of the other,
They're not going anywhere. They're always going to be there.
exactly. But then you might also want to consider what happened during the Twitter ban and all that stuff. You might want to ban the whole, I think being operational in Nigeria. And they said they don't have a license to operate in Nigeria, so you're not paying tax, right? But I think there could be other ways because the crypto industry generates money, regardless of how you like to look
Billions
at it.
billions of dollars.
Billions of dollars.
I got
So
that data
what are you
somewhere.
going to do about the money that's going to stop being in circulation? Because one way or the other, people like me, we are going to find a way to start trade. That's basically it.
Abraham, what do you think?
Well, I think, like Emmanuel said, crypto enthusiasts are going to always have alternatives. Crypto is so the good thing with Binance, and which it's something Emmanuel touched on. Binance is Binance is one of those things that you call a centralized exchange.
Decentralized.
Which basically means that you can track with some measure of certainty some of what the activities are going.
So there's a level of
The other way-
trust.
Yeah, there's a level of trust that's built into the system. Actually, there's a level of trust, even though it's not the same as operating with a traditional financial framework. Right now, you're going to lose trust, which increases the risk for people like use finance. In a kind of way, that could also be expected.
We're losing you now.
Risk of using Binance, so people want to go out of Binance. Of using crypto rather. But the crypto community,
Abraham, we can't hear you quite well anymore. I think it's a network problem.
Is it better now?
Yes, it is. Go ahead.
Okay. So I was saying that we've seen people who are crypto enthusiasts. They're making these video meme jokes about all the different options that they have. So essentially, what this is going to do is, if Binance wasn't paying tax, which, by the way, that's an interesting thing to think about.
look at.
Binance has a global problem, which is that Binance does not describe itself as anywhere. Those are global issues. That's it.
Oh, we can't hear you again.
Oh.
Anyways, I was going to also ask about the black market
You can hear
currency
me now?
exchange activities. Do you think this is going to increase? I mean, the BDCs were giving their licenses were renewed recently. Some were clamped down on. There's this kind of cleanup going on when it comes to the bird exchange market. Do you think we're going to see an increase there since this one has been shut down, or do you think people are just going to move on to these other platforms? What do you think could happen there?
There's no dollar. That's it. There's no the BDCs don't deal with USDT. You don't go to the BDC to get the digital dollar. You go there to get actual currency, whether it's physical cash, or whether it's a money that you transfer to your bank, to your dollar domicile. Go to a BDC to actually get dollars in the financial system, not digital dollars.
Abraham, we really can hear you. Can you maybe steady your mic, or I don't know what you're using, but it's going off and on, not steady anymore.
I'm really not using anything.
It's better now. It's better now. It's better now. It's clearer now.
Oh, okay. Perfect. Anyways, what I was, just to keep it short, I was saying that there's no dollar liquidity in the system. So if you go to maybe people will go to their BDC, and if you say it doesn't have, they have no options. They will look for other alternatives. Yes, the risk is going to be increased, but yeah, people will do what they have to do, to make transactions, especially legitimate users, people who need to import stuff, because you can't tell them not to import again, which is a problem we currently have. If you say don't import, how are consumers going to consume? How are they going to get what they need to consume? So you can't do that. What this is, that's why you don't see that's why you don't see the exit of Binance, having a substantial effect in the Naira price. You don't see it. We did see an effect in the Naira price, and let me close with this. You did see an effect in the Naira price recently when the central bank that it was going to sell dollars to BDCs that followed some certain steps. When that happened, when that announcement came, we began to see the Naira value rise relative to the dollar from the 1,900 that it was touching to the present 1,500. What that shows you is that the price is responding to supply, the price is responding to, you clamp down on BDCs, you clamp down on Binance, clamp down on crypto. The price doesn't care. The price cares when, only if, there is enough supply of US dollars. And it's not just in Nigeria as well. I give you two quick examples and I shut up my mouth.
Go ahead.
Two quick examples. Kenya also had a very, the dollar problem is not in Nigeria. Nigeria is just,
Abraham, if you know how you were staying before, stay like that. We can't hear you anymore.
I'm literally...
Yes, that's better. We can hear you now. Just stay like that. Okay. Don't move your mouth. Just speak without moving your head. We can hear you.
That's an interesting technology problem, because I'm literally bent in the same way.
All right.
Anyways, what I was just going to say that it's not a uniquely Nigerian problem. And we've seen from other examples that the price of the currency only responds to increased supply. We saw it in Kenya recently, where the Kenyan shilling was dropping very, very fast, and everybody was sort of screaming. And Kenya was able to sell some deal bonds, and the Central Bank of Kenya, injected dollar liquidity into the market. The price of the shilling, rose and stabilized around the 140 shillings to a dollar. We saw it recently, as recent as today, in Egypt. In the last few days, the Egyptian government was able to conclude a deal with the United Arab Emirates, where the United Arab Emirates promised to invest up to $35 billion, to develop a particular part of Egypt. And when that announcement was made, the Egyptian pound, which had also been in a free fall prior to this, suddenly began to rise. And today, the Central Bank of Egypt was able to devalue their currency, and they devalued it, and it sort of is now hovering at around roughly the price that it was trading in the black market a week before. And the reason that could happen was because there's some liquidity. There is dollars. Now there is dollars, you can afford to sell. You don't have to tell people what to do. You just give them the supply, and the price will respond.
And things will sort out themselves. Just make it available, right? Now, stay on the line. Let's open the phone lines and hear what the people or the person that's been listening has to say. I mean, Binance exit, it has happened. It was called for. It has happened. Where do we go from here when you look at the Forex crisis? 0817-923-0002. You can also call 0817-923-0003. And the WhatsApp number 0809-030-6416. We're live on Facebook. We're live on YouTube at Nigeria Info PH. You can also drop your comment on X, that's former Twitter, at Nigeria Info PH as well. And yes, the question is, do you think Will the exit of Binance improve our Forex crisis, our Forex situation, the way we've seen it happen here? Hello, good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is calling from Port Harcourt.
Okay.
Well, concerning this Forex issue, I think there's somewhere the federal government is getting it wrong. Nigeria is not, a dollar is not our legal tender. So see where they are getting it wrong. Why do you give billions of dollars to BDCs? And you know that people always carry this money and store in their house. The only way to solve this problem is don't give these people this dollar anymore. Let the dollar be changed in the bank. If you want to do any dollar transaction, it should be through transfer. So that you can now monitor this dollar where they're going to. Imagine me withdrawing $1,000. What do I want to do with it? I'll take it to my house. Imagine last year I went to the bank to secure a deal with one of these banks. I won't mention their names. We wanted to buy a machine in America worth $800, 800 million naira. But they say even if they secure this money to buy this machine, it will be difficult for them to secure the dollar to import it back to Nigeria. The CBN has refused to give money to the bank. Instead, they give it to the BDC, where they don't have control. So these people, and there's a rumor that whenever they have a PAC meeting, the dollar rises because these governors will go to the BDCs and buy dollar and keep in the government houses. This is an allegation that has not been yet confirmed. So when the dollar is cut, the price will definitely go high. So this buying of the Binance is not even the issue because it's completely wrong. Because when you have enough dollar in the bank, in the CBN, there's no way the Binance will control the price of dollar. Because if the price of dollar in Binance is very high, you go to the bank and do your transaction. Nobody will pay the Binance to crash the price. But because there is no dollar in India, these people, they know what they're doing. Even the CBN is also part of this issue. Where are the dollars? You will hear that they have imported $30 billion, $20 billion, $2 billion to the market. Where is it?
Where
Nobody
is
sees
it?
this dollar. So we need to audit the CBN at the banks. They should cut this BDC. This is our problem. If you go to America, you don't see anybody having 10 million naira in the house in America. Nobody does that. If you are traveling from Nigeria to America, you will have certain amount of dollars that you can carry and pass the visit. After that, anything you want to do should be transferred. So this is a problem. Until the government gets it right, in fact, they don't want to get it right because it is also favoring them. It's for their selfish reason. That is why they don't want to do this thing so that it can be tracked. Because if they do it this way, every dollar will be in the bank. If you want to do any transaction, go to the bank and do transfer. Don't withdraw.
All right.
It can be tracked. Even if the government doesn't, the present government does not edit it, other incoming governments will audit it and get the facts. So that is why they don't want to do it because the only place is back to the first houses. So this is my take on this dollar issue. Thank you.
Thank you for calling. Yes, I mean it's a very interesting one when you look at all of the sides. And I was also thinking, a senior colleague told me recently of how she went to China or one of the Asian countries now, and she didn't have their currency, I think yuan, and she had dollars, and so she was trying to buy in dollars in that Asian country, and the sales girl refused to take the dollar. The sales girl just refused, and she really wanted to buy that thing, but she didn't have yuan. Instead, she kept pointing that they have their well-organized bureau de change, and it's very organized. So the girl was directing her to where she will go and change the dollar to yuan. They do not sell in any other currency other than their country's currency.
And you see that.
And she was willing to give her more than let's say what she was trying to buy was $50 and she had $100. She was willing to give the sales girl $100. Take the change, just give me this thing. I don't want to go and start doing any changing of anything. And the girl refused. Do we have that level of discipline in Nigeria?
I think
you know the answer.
Until we start to get it from that angle, coming from also the government and trickle down to the common man in the street. I don't think that this bureau de change issue and the dollar issue is going to be solved because it comes up from where people are getting it wrong, right? The government is not trying to do what they can to regulate the dollar. So how do you now intend to make it even? You're trying to. It's like trying to pour fuel on fire, right? The black market is there. You're not trying to regulate. You're not trying to do anything about it. And
well, they're actually trying to regulate them now. BDCs, that there's a cleanup going on there.
Licensing and everything. But then I think by the time you start to get it right, try to follow the steps and do the right thing. Until then, it's not going to be done.
Okay, let's go to WhatsApp now because we need to leave the studio very soon. And we have a message here from Henry C. He says, good afternoon, Nigeria Info. I am Henry C. Can Nigerians still access Binance with a foreign VPN? Abraham, you're still with us? Abraham? Because that question reminds me of what people did during the Twitter ban. They all use VPN to cut across. Can that also happen in this case?
Well, what has happened doesn't necessarily follow that same pattern. Of course, we don't know that Binance has been blocked by the National Communications Commission. What we know is that Binance is no longer offering
Naira. So you can trade other currencies, but just not the Nigerian Naira.
Yeah.
And that affects us, doesn't it? That affects us. That means more people tilting towards dollar, isn't it?
Well, basically what it means is that how Binance used to operate before, it won't be able to operate in that same manner now. Where if you needed to make a P2P transaction, now you transferred it to the person's Naira. Like basically, anything that has to do with Naira, you won't see that is quoted dollar to Naira. You won't see any of that.
All right.
It's either you do those transactions with maybe a Kenyan shilling or the Ghanaian CD, wherever you can do that with, which introduces another layer of complexity.
Okay, let's see how the federal government leverages this situation in coming days. We're going to obviously keep an eye on this one because the Forex crisis, it seems not to be going anywhere. We're all still here and the rising inflation is still rising. And let's see how that pans out. And that's it on Talking Figures today. Thank you so much, Abraham Augustine, for making time to be with us on Talking Figures here.
You're welcome. Thank you. Appreciate it.
And of course, Emmanuel, thank you so much for being here and sharing your crypto life with us. Talking Figures.
Thank you.
So I wish you all the best when you try out all of the other platforms. Please be careful. Trust you be the number one guide.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so if you're listening, we've been talking about the implications of the Binance exit to your market, whatever market you belong to, more especially the Forex crisis, since it's affected every other thing. And you've seen it, you've heard it. If you missed it, we're live on Facebook and YouTube, and you can go watch all of it there. So many insights shared by the guests we had. My name is Choma Ezenwafo, and up next is Rivers Today. After that, Hard Facts will be here. Kalanda will be here to take you on Hard Facts. Stay tuned.